Welcome to the King and Chapman Show. Mi nombre es Brent. Welcome. With me is the original Fab One, Jimmy King.
Me llamo es Yimmy.
All right. Happy or belated Cinco de Mayo, Jimmy.
Happy, happy late Cinco de Mayo. I love the hat. I love the outfit. It's rocky. I wish I had one to rock with you, man. And of course, it's the Buffalo Bills because you're the
I
most
do
die hardest
also.
of the die hard. Oh yes,
I have the Bills poncho too, Jimmy.
yes. Hey, does that come in Detroit?
It does. If you travel to a
Special?
tourist trap in Mexico, you can get any sports team you want. And I'm sure it is all licensed by the NFL.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you find a couple of vendors on the street you could get it from. You could probably pull it for a couple of dollars.
That's right, Jimmy. It is we are 2 days past Cinco de
Yeah,
Mayo and we are still celebrating Hispanic heritage
of
on
course.
the King and Chapman show, of course. How are you on this Tuesday, Jimmy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How about yourself? All is well with me. Ready to talk some more diverse sports. We got a variety of topics to touch, which I'm excited about. So, whenever you're ready to get started, we get started.
Jimmy, on the King and Chapman show, we can talk football, we can talk basketball, but today we've got hockey and boxing and volleyball and
Yeah,
horse racing.
that's right. Diverse, baby.
So,
So look,
so
it's
let's
like it's like if you had a dinner table, right? You just don't want to talk just about basketball or just about football or just about, you
look.
want or baseball, like the three
We will
major sports. You want to be able to talk about things that are current and things that are exciting and things that like make you wear a big sombrero.
That's right. And
Like
by the
you
way, get football into the sombrero, which we were able to do with that. But we can get right into it, and we'll always talk about the big headlines of the day. And today, I am excited because my current hometown Mavs play tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder are the number one seed in the West, Jimmy. Tell me, are they underrated or are they legit contenders for the NBA championship this
are
year?
you talking about the Mavs underrated
No,
or
are the Thunder the
oh,
number
definitely not.
one seeded
There's no way.
Thunder?
How can you be underrated as the number one seed? They got
Because
there for a reason, and they have a
everybody,
very good again balance on the inside out. SGA and Chet Holmgren, although Chet is a slighter build, but he's long and he could change directions of shots defensively, and he's creative offensively. So it's going to be exciting. I want to go with my Mavs. I did talk about Luca and Kyrie being the best 1-2 punch in the league left right now, but SGA and Chet is a tall order. So it's gonna be exciting to see. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
I am telling you, the reason why it is phrased as underrated is you're right. They are the number one seed. And I think they might even have the NBA's best record this year.
Yes.
But here's the thing, Jimmy. They are not being talked about. They're talking about the Nuggets. They're talking about Ant-Man.
All year.
Talking about the Celts. They're talking about big game Donovan Mitchell. They're talking about Kyrie and Luca.
All
There
year.
is no talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's what I think. I think the Mavs, this is their year. I just feel there's something going on there. They have a feeling. They got a player that's incredible to stop and impossible to stop in Luka Doncic. And when he needs a break or he needs somebody else to pick it up, you got big game Kyrie, who in our last show, I'll repeat this for our listeners that might have missed the last show, is 13 and 0. 13 and 0 in series deciding games. 13 and 0.
Kyrie, Kyrie is the master. I mean, we see it late in games, but again, we've seen it over a course of or a number of years. And I keep going back to his Cleveland Cavalier years, and we've seen him be clutch in big moments. So at this stage in the game, especially what the Mavericks need, particularly Luka, to expand his game, take a little pressure off of him, allow him to do the other things that he's also great at, which is a monster on the boards. Right, he could get kind of shore up the weak side when Kyrie is doing his thing, but to your point, Kyrie is really coming on, and I do feel like the Mavericks have a chance. But SGA and that number one OKC team, they're gonna have something to say about it. They're not
Let
number
me
one for no reason.
let me ask you a question, Jimmy, because this is my theory. But you played. You played at a very high level in college, part of the Fab Five, and you also played in the pros and internationally for that matter. So I'm curious how much this matters. Because as a fan, what I think and what I've witnessed is when you get a team like the Mavs that are really experienced, but they got a very tough veteran in Luca. They got another 1-2 punch with another veteran that's won championships and done it. And then they've got a very sort of veteran backcourt, right, and subs behind them. And then you've got this upstart young team with a
Mm-hmm,
bunch of guys that really haven't played in these type
mm-hmm,
of games and that
mm-hmm.
are very good and have played very good in the regular season. But the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs to me are different. Do
Definitely.
you think does that really matter? Does the youth okay, they played 82 games and they were great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that youth and inexperience and not playing in the playoffs matters this year for them, or it doesn't matter and it's just the season and they're going to keep rolling like they have been? That's what I
It
want to know.
it does matter. It does matter. They don't have any experience to draw from. So say in critical moments or they're faced with a situation that they haven't, the pressure is ramped up and amped up so much that it may get to certain players. It may cause a crinkle in the timing. You just don't know. It may cause a player to pause or move too fast. Like, you just don't know what the result is going to be when you don't have that experience to draw from. So you hope that the veteran guards are able to, you know, kind of will the team past those mistakes, and that the guys who are the young guys are good enough to not let those mistakes or the mistakes that they may have affect the next play. So they got to have short memories and and just play the game.
Well, talking about Kyrie and the Cavs, his old team, let's move along to the Cavaliers of today, who do not have Kyrie, but they have a decent little player by the name of Donovan Mitchell, Mr. Big Game, 50 points. I think the guy can pull 50 points out of his U-Ha whenever he wants to. He's amazing. He unfortunately has to go up against the juggernaut of the East, the Boston Celtics. Uh, Tell me, will the Cavs beat the Celtics to advance to the East Finals, or is this it for them? And does it end quickly?
This is it for the Cavs. It ends quickly. It's the end of the line. I do believe that Donovan will put up numbers, but I just don't believe that overall the team is good enough to beat um, the Celtics, and I think the Celtics are, on a mission as well, taking out the Heat last round to avenge their
Avenge
horrible
their
loss last year
yeah.
from that 8-1 seed. So I don't even really see the Cavs winning the game. I think if the Celtics come
Wow.
ready to play
Gee,
as they should, on paper, it should be
rough.
a sweep 4-0.
Jimmy, you're rough, bro. You don't even see him getting a game?
No, I don't see the gentleman sweep.
You,
I,
you
I
don't you don't
mean,
see Spider pulling one out and just
I
dropping
mean,
80 or
maybe.
something?
I think he might. I think he might be able to pull one, but that's gonna be a tall order, and he's gonna have to get like 60.
Well, I definitely will say he is capable of 60. I think that
Absolutely.
is that beyond him. Yeah, I gotta go. I just think the Celtics have got a couple things. They have a very solid team, top to bottom. They're experienced. We just talked about that in the last segment.
Mhm.
And they're pissed off about, or sorry, ticked off about what happened
No,
last
that's right. They pissed off.
year. Oh, well, I want a PG audience to watch our show, Jimmy. So I will say ticked off. But that's true. I just think all those things together, and I'll be honest, the East is weak. I mean, when you got four teams and the four teams remaining in the West are pretty much, in my opinion, all better than the teams in the East. I think if you started the NBA Finals right now, all four of those teams, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and the Mavs, could beat the Celtics. Right
I
now,
agree.
I don't know what's going to happen after they beat each other up and then have to play the Celtics. But if they were playing them right now, they're better than the Celtics.
Well, how about the NBA? And I think they were playing with this at one point. Um, adapting it
No, I know what
where
you're going to say.
you have to have the best teams, right? The best teams
No,
to seed them, and the best teams play the best teams.
you
If
reseed
if
them and
if
go
if
one
if
team.
if the Celtics are that good, they'll still be where they're supposed to be. All the other teams will fall where they're supposed to be if we say that the East is weak like that, and that
Jimmy,
allow the
yeah,
Western Conference teams that we are saying are good to actually benefit and from the regular season.
called me old school, Jimmy, but I like the playoff seeding. I like the playoff seeding in the NFL. I don't care that you can be 7-9 and get into the playoffs. I think that's great, right? That gives the fan base something to cheer about. This is the way it is. You got to win your conference.
See, doesn't that go towards like everybody gets a trophy?
No,
How
it's
you get
not
the
even
trophy? How
close,
you how you
bro.
how you in the playoffs and you 7-9?
Not even close, bro. Because what happens is, what happens is you have this year the East is weak, but a couple of years ago it was stronger than the West. So it ebbs and flows, man. Competition changes. Remember when LeBron and all those guys were over in the
Right.
East?
And they were talking about how strong the East was and the West
Yeah,
was
when the
weak.
Heat and all those, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
it ebbs
I
and flows.
get it.
No,
I
it's
get it.
great. It's
I
fun.
get it.
And by the way, it gets other teams involved. You can have a down year and your team could still be in the playoffs. And we've seen recently the Heat last year, 8 seed, whoop,
AC beat the one
all the way
seed.
to the finals, bro. Like
I
that was
get it. I
awesome.
get
All
it.
right, Jimmy, we're out of the big four sports now. We're going fast into uncharted territory here. But the Dallas Stars. All right, we're back to hockey. That's 2 out of 2 shows with hockey in it. Our Dallas Stars. Now I'm a Sabres fan being from Buffalo, but our Dallas Stars lost last year in the Western Conference Finals to the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Well, guess what happened yesterday, Jimmy? They
What happened?
avenged the Golden Knights by beating them in game 7 by a score of 2-1. Golden Knights, defending champs, out. Dallas Stars moving on to face the Colorado Avalanche in the next round of the playoffs. Are you the surprise that the Stars avenged the defending champs, Jimmy?
Actually, no, I'm
All
not surprised.
right.
I'm not surprised because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to lick your wounds over the summertime or over the off season, whatever your off season is. Learn
Don't
from
let it
your
happen again.
mistakes, come back better, and beat the same team that you lost to. You don't want to avoid the team. You always want to go back and beat the team that beats you.
Now,
That's
Jimmy,
the best feeling in the
I asked you last week, Jimmy, does that actually matter? Does last year matter? Remember, we were talking about the Celtics and
Absolutely.
Heat? Does
Yes.
it actually matter? Do the
Yes.
players actually care? And you
Yes.
said,
Absolutely,
yes,
they care.
yeah,
You want revenge. You want to beat the team that beat you, that locked you out of your goal,
dream.
that locked you out of your dream of getting to the championship. You
Dude,
want to beat that team
conference
and make them
final.
feel the same thing you felt.
The Stars were this close to the Stanley Cup finals last year and might have won because the Knights won.
Well, the Golden Knights, I don't know. Sometimes you just run up against a juggernaut,
That's
and
right.
you know that when you're in the first year of your franchise and you win the Stanley Cup. That's how you
They're,
know that there's some things that you must be doing right, or
they're, they're good.
you paid
I
off
want
the
to tell you
hockey
though,
gods or something.
I'm gonna give you a little nugget that you're gonna like. All right. I know you like my Kyrie nugget about the 13-0. I got one for you.
Okay, I love it.
Stars coach Peter DeBoer
Okay,
is 8-0 in game sevens as a coach. 8-0.
you can't
Woo!
bet against them. How can you bet against them? If I was a gambling man, if I was Charles Barkley or something, I'll take that bet. Kyrie
that
and Coach
is, I mean, you
DeBoer.
gotta watch that stuff. Holy cow, 8 and
Absolutely.
0 in game sevens. Hey, I hate to say it, but if the Stars go to a game seven with the Avalanche, you know who I'm picking. Uh,
Easily.
well, Jimmy,
Easily.
we'll
Yeah, I
see
gotta
how
stay with the home team anyway.
we'll keep an eye on our Stars. They have home ice advantage, but now we're moving along to boxing.
Oh yeah.
So Canelo Alvarez defeated Jamie Mungua in Vegas on Cinco de Mayo. It's his fourth successful defense of this title. And he won 115, 113, 117, 110, and 116, 111. And he scored a knockdown for the third consecutive fight. So he pretty much dominated. Here's the thing. During the post-fight interview, the sportscaster asked him, "Hey, David Benavidez is the person that everyone across this country and across the world would like to see you fight. You said earlier this week you're willing. What are your thoughts right now?" And he said, "I don't know. I don't know right now. If the money's right, well, the money he wants is $200 million to fight David Benavidez." Let me put that in perspective for you, Jimmy. He signed a 3-fight deal for $100 million. So I'm going to tell you a little secret, Jimmy, or maybe you already know this, but they probably, if you're not in the boxing world, you don't know this. If a boxer doesn't want to fight another boxer, he prices himself out of the fight.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
is Canelo Alvarez scared to fight David Benavidez like Floyd Mayweather Jr. was scared to fight Manny Pacquiao all those years? I said it. Mayweather was afraid of Pacquiao.
I don't know if and I don't know if he was scared of Pacquiao. Maybe he was. I don't think
He
so.
was.
I think they just waited. It's debatable. That's Floyd's my guy. Shout out. Shout out to
Yeah.
Money Man. But I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. I think that in today's, like you say, you could price yourself out, obviously. But I think as a negotiator, as a promoter, you start high and then you negotiate down. And now we know that that's also a tactic. But the way that Alvarez, um, his style of boxing, I don't think he's afraid of anybody. I think at
Well,
this point he's trying to do what's best for him and his family and his camp, and he's trying to get that bag. That's what he's on.
see, Jimmy, this is what I wanted the topic to be about. Is I'm so disappointed at the direction boxing has gone in. I grew up in the 80s, and we all know who was fighting in the 80s. In
Oh yeah,
fact, he's fighting again in July.
that's right. Oh, I can't wait to see
Iron
that.
Mike. I am of the
You, I can't
Iron
wait.
Mike Tyson generation. And Iron Mike Tyson never, ever, ever was afraid of anyone. That dude would fight anyone,
Iron Mike is a
anywhere.
different breed, totally different breed. We can't compare anybody to Iron Mike, as we can see clearly today. He wants to retire Mr. Paul. He's
Yeah,
clearly made that statement. Like I'm going to retire him and send him over with his brother to WWE. That's his goal. I love it.
here's my thing, Jimmy. I think boxing has been ruined by this. See, when you have like even in and I'm not that familiar with UFC. I know that you are more than I am, but I believe there's like a ranking system, right? And it
Mhm,
and it and they make the number one contender fight the champ, and so
mhm,
there's this ability to kind of really know where you're standing, and it's your turn. It's just like that's what makes these sports great. Is in basketball
mhm,
we get to see the top teams fight each other in the playoffs and then play for the championship, right?
mhm.
In boxing, we don't really have a good idea of who the top fighters are. And when we do, then they don't want to fight each other, or they got to
They
negotiate
don't.
it and they make some
They
weird
work too
rules.
hard to move up in the rankings. So when
Just
you become
fight.
one of the top 5, 6 boxers, you got to be careful. You got to be strategic,
Look, I
and
have been,
you
I have
have to
been
get
incredible.
that bag.
I have been incredibly critical of college football. I think that those knuckleheads took 30 years to have a playoff that could have taken 5 minutes if Brent Chapman and Jimmy King were doing it,
That's
right?
right.
And but even with them, they at least are saying they got a people in a room, writers or whoever, a committee going, these are the top teams. But at least they get to play each other and we get some idea of who the best team is. We don't even get that in boxing. That's why boxing's a sham. Canelo
You do
Alvarez
miss out.
should be made to fight the number one contender, David Benitez, or give up his title. He can't run around and hide. He has to fight. I want to see that fight. And I hope David Benitez knocks his teeth out.
I don't know. That's a great fight. We really want to see that fight, but
I don't
we'll
really
see
want
how
him
the
to knock his.
politics. You got to play the game. It's a business. It's not just the sport itself. It's big business, and you got to play. You got to
No,
get it when you can.
Jimmy, I got a little worked up there. I don't actually want David Benitez to knock Canelo Alvarez's teeth out.
Why
I
not?
just want him to fight.
You do. You might want to see some spit or snot or a tooth or two or something.
I
Knocked
want to
out.
see a good fight. So going from fighting to beach volleyball. Let me tell you about this. This is impressive. So, twin sisters, Nicole and Aubrey Nurse, play for top ranked USC. They defeated UCLA over the weekend to win their fourth straight beach volleyball title. You heard that
Dominance.
right, Jimmy. 4 in a row.
Dominance.
They began this streak with a win over UCLA in 2021, and then a win over Florida State, and then again over UCLA. I mean, I don't care what sport it is. if you win the championship 4 years in a row, especially in college where players change and they
What can you
graduate,
say?
and that's really impressive. Kudos to Nicole, Audrey, and the rest of the team. What do you think about this, Jimmy? Is this
Hey,
awesome or what?
that's awesome. They own the sport. Obviously, when you strive to be the best at anything, particular sports, it's difficult, and people always want to knock you off. So if you fortunate enough to get there and to win a championship, staying on top is the hardest thing to do. And they were able to do it 4 times. It's a testament to them. Shout out to USC volleyball, UCLA as well. I mean, they have no.
I
No,
mean, it's a big
they
deal.
don't
I
they
mean,
don't have a reason to really hang their heads. They're just, I mean, they're always in the mix. It seems as well. So
Jimmy, do you prefer beach volleyball over regular volleyball?
now here's a great. That's a great question. I'm starting to learn more about beach volleyball. It's
I
becoming
agree.
more popular.
I agree.
But when I grew up, right, in the 80s, volleyball was popular.
It
Even
was.
male volleyball.
It
This
was.
just it just wasn't teams or organizations that were prevalent enough to play in because I would have played. I actually played in
Oh,
elementary, a little, yeah, a little middle school, but we never had a team. But if we had one, I definitely would have played volleyball. So to answer your question, indoor, but I appreciate the outdoor game as well.
Jimmy, one of our sponsors at the bottom right of the screen there is My NIL Pay, which is an application that allows you to direct pay student athletes, including the women's volleyball team at USC, which is really awesome. So I think that all these athletes deserve to be recognized, and all these athletes for their accomplishments deserve to be compensated
Absolutely.
through NIL. Not just
Absolutely.
the top guys, not just the Heisman Trophy winners, but all of
No.
them, especially these athletes that do something like, win 4 straight championships. That's so awesome.
Absolutely, they deserve it. The market dictates what the market dictates, and like you said, every athlete, if they have the opportunity to be compensated, should. And from whatever source, I believe that's it's appropriately named name, image, and likeness that you
That's
should
right.
be able to capitalize on. So, shout out
I
to
mean, you and
my
I
NIL pay.
we should definitely talk more NIL on this show. I think we'll definitely have topics, especially as we get into the summer, because we'll start hearing about kids getting money. But
Oh, for
that's a
sure.
great topic. I'd love to dig in with you on NIL and kind of what you went through in college, but I think we'll save that for another day. Right now, we're going to move into another annual event, the Kentucky Derby. Now, I'm not a big horse racing guy, Jimmy, but I'm going to be honest with you. Nate, hit that picture there. This was a
Woo!
photo finish ending,
Woo!
Jimmy. I had no, like, here's my question for you. Is there hey, Nate didn't put up the question that I had. The question that I had for you, Jimmy, was, is there a more exciting event in sports than the photo finish?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I don't think so. I mean, it's
Put it
clear.
back up there,
It's
Nate. Let me
definitely
look at
it's
this.
definitely in the top. I mean, um,
So the
uh,
guy who won, Jimmy, was the guy all the way, the horse farthest from our screen by a
right.
nose,
God knows.
by
And
a,
again,
by a literal nose.
all of the training that you do, just like any other sport, to have that type of photo finish type ending is
I
the
know.
best thing you can have for the winners. but for spectators, for fans, that's something we can hope for, right? Is seeing the best product do their best, and then we have a surprise or a memorable finish.
I, I think, Jimmy, a buzzer beater in basketball is pretty hard to beat,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good one.
Yeah.
A
Uh,
touchdown or a pick six to
or
win it, or a walk
any
off
sort of
home
game,
run.
a walk off home run, a Hail Mary or a
Yeah,
game-winning field goal, right? Or an overtime goal in hockey in the
yeah.
playoffs. I mean, like what happened
It's
last
so
night
many.
in game 7. Uh, these are exciting moments. I think the photo finish is right up there with
Definitely.
those. I don't.
Oh,
I think it's
definitely.
one of those things that you can't pick. They're all great.
Even if you're not a horse fan, right? If you're the
Yeah,
horse
you don't watch
racing
horse
sporting
racing like
world
me.
fan, you want to see the photo, right? Which will draw interest into the sport, or at least eyes to the sport.
Yeah, I want to see Mystic Dan, who won this year's Derby. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Mystic Dan. Mystic Dan was 18-1 odds.
Ah,
He smoked the Derby favorite, who finished 15th. He had 3-1 odds. Do
wow,
you know? This is crazy, Jimmy. It's only the 10th time the Derby winner has won by a nose.
really?
Yes. And the
Well, see, that
last
lets
time,
you know that's that we've seen a historical
yep,
time, a historical event. That it's only one of the 10 that's
eh,
ever been recorded in history.
yeah. And the last time was 28 races ago. 28. So
Wow.
that's a long time. And shout out to the trainer. See how this works is Jimmy, there's a horse that runs, and then there's a guy on top, the jockey, and then there's a guy that trains it, and then there's a really wealthy guy that owns the horse, and they all get credit for winning. But the trainer, Kenny McPeak, is the first trainer since 1952. That's a really long time to win both the Derby and the Kentucky Oaks on the same weekend. So
Wow.
props to Kenny McPeak, props to Mystic Dan, and props to all sports fans that got to see a photo finish. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So what's
Jimmy,
next? Are they going for the Triple Crown or
well, what I was reading is Mystic Dan might not even go for the Triple Crown this year. He might just
too fast of
retire,
a turnaround?
find a nice horse, ride off into the sunset.
So they're doing horse management, huh? Load management for
I,
horses.
I guess so. I guess so. Uh, Jimmy, that is all for today's show. Now we're moving
Okay.
on to my favorite segment, the last word. Jimmy, I will go first today because
All right.
lately you've been going first. I
Okay.
would like to wish a happy birthday, May 7th, to the guy behind the scenes, Nate, who does all the stuff that you see, moving of the things.
Nate Dog.
Hey, dog. Happy birthday,
Happy
Nate.
birthday, Nate.
That's right.
Happy birthday, Nate Dog. Arr,
Woo,
arr.
woo, woo, woo.
Hey.
What do you got, Jimmy?
Um, I got one for you. I got one for you. Going back to boxing.
Oh,
My biggest take today is out of boxing. Get the bag. Not only is it a sport, you got to drive up the price in order to negotiate in the middle. So I ain't mad at Canelo Alvarez. I don't think he's running. I think he's getting smart. And I know he's older in the game. So he's looking at, yeah, everybody wants to see this fight. I'm getting the bag. And
well,
I ain't mad at
that is what Mayweather did with Pacquiao, right?
him.
I think it was both there. I
Yeah.
think Mayweather knew that
Oh, yeah.
if
They
he
wanted
fought
that money.
Pacquiao at that time, he was going to lose. And to Mayweather, this undefeated streak that he finished his career with was very important to him. So
Mhm.
I think he was not going to fight Pacquiao at that point in time. But he did remember the whole thing was I need $500 million
Yeah.
to fight Pacquiao. This is going to be the
And he
greatest
ended up,
fight
how much
ever.
did he end up getting?
I don't know. He got a lot. He got
Right.
I think they got $100 million or
Yeah,
something for
something
that
that was
fight.
crazy. A
No, it
piece.
was crazy at the time, and they did
Right.
it in Jerry World, right? I think, or it was in Vegas. I don't remember where it was at, but
Yeah,
you know,
you gotta. It's a business. You got to be able to negotiate. You got to be able to leverage
so he got
your.
the money, but we didn't get the fight. We got the fight 5 years later.
Too late.
Pacquiao was done.
Yeah.
He was a shadow of himself. He got hurt
But
in the fight. early on.
But the players in the game ended up
Well, they
taking the
all were
flag,
very
right?
happy.
That's
They made
again,
$100
that's what it's
million.
about. They spend their lives training, getting punched in the face, you know, running hills, mountains, you know what I'm saying? Running through ravines, through mud, quicksand, getting shot at. Who knows?
Well, Manny
They deserve
Pacquiao
it.
went on to be Senator Pacquiao in the Philippines and even ran for president. And I think he finished third. It's a little bit different system there. So Senator Pacquiao could have become President Pacquiao. I guess it's okay. He didn't want to take too many shots to the head so he could run a country. But that is all for today, Jimmy. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone for watching. We will be back on Thursday, and we got a lot of NBA playoffs to talk about. Peace.
Peace.